Let's get right to the point. What just emerged from Buckingham Palace is more akin to what you might anticipate from a soap opera than from actual events. Sources close to the royal inner circle claim that a formal request has been made for Meghan and Harry's children to undergo DNA testing. Yes, real DNA tests, not for amusement or curiosity, but to provide a solution to a query that most people thought had already been addressed. The statement, "Are Archie and Lilibet really their biological children?" seems absurd. Yet it's not simply tabloid drivel that's making the rounds on Twitter. It is claimed that this demand originates right behind the palace walls. Additionally, the claims that Meghan may have staged her pregnancy with Archie as a public performance are the cause for this. This is not some trivial plot that we are discussing. If accurate, it might rank among the largest public deceptions in royal history. However, before we discuss whether or not any of that is true, let's examine how things came to be this way. As didn't happen overnight. For years, people have been speculating about Meghan's pregnancy, including how her bump changed shape, how she walked around in stilettos during her third trimester, and how she squatted in ways that no pregnant woman would normally do. At the time, those rumors were dismissed, and people were advised to keep quiet, not be rude, and not be insensitive, but the rumors only got louder. In the present day, whispers. There is a full-fledged need for evidence. Requests for royal DNA tests are not only uncommon, they are unheard of. Royals don't publicly display their family drama like clotheslines or laundry. However, it's obvious that something behind the scenes has pushed the palace over the edge. How might someone explain that the trigger wasn't an unexpected suspicion? It resulted from an examination of old documents and video. Consider images, movies, and timelines. According to reports, every detail of Meghan's first pregnancy was examined again. And let's just say that the more closely they examined it, the more flaws they discovered. Missing records, inconsistent statements, and inconsistencies, things that were simply nonsensical. And if this is where things become more heated. Given how well-documented royal births are often, several royals believe that there is no official record of Meghan giving birth to Archie in any hospital, under her name, no public documentation supporting the claims made at the time, and nothing approved by royal doctors. Usually, there are pictures, interviews, a doctor's statement, or anything. But in this instance, there is a large, suspicious void. To be clear, the issue here is not with using a surrogate. For valid personal, medical, or emotional reasons, many women worldwide opt for that path. The cover-up of the purportedly false account of events that was presented to the public is the problem. Had Meghan and Harry simply been honest about using a surrogate, their conversation would have been completely different. However, it is not only deceptive, it is worldwide manipulation if they fabricated a pregnancy that never occurred and created a brand and public narrative around it. Interview 348-358. And keep in mind that this involves more than just two famous people, since these individuals are connected to the monarchy, a system that depends on hereditary legacy and custom. Any doubts over the legitimacy of that bloodline rock the foundation. People want answers. The palace is looking for assurance. Additionally, Meghan and Harry may not currently have the choice to remain silent in the future, although controversies surrounding the royal family are nothing new. This one goes deeper than normal. At its core, it's about what the crown stands for, not simply Meghan or Harry. The monarchy is based on legitimacy and heritage lineages, not on popularity or a contemporary image. This is the reason this DNA request feels so unique. It's institutional as well as personal, which makes it a much greater concern. Now that he is firmly established on the throne, King Charles is said to have been subtly changing the monarchy's destiny behind the scenes. According to reports, he is concentrating on reducing the number of working royals, strengthening procedures, and shielding the crown from additional humiliation. The more turmoil with his youngest son is the last thing he wants during his reign. However, something new emerged when the issue of succession and official royal functions arose. According to reports, things took a drastic turn at that point. Who exactly is in line for those roles? Because the palace desires Archie and Lilibet to be a part of that future. Certain that they are authorized to be there, and that's what led to the palace's historical study. The public timeline of Meghan's journey as a mother includes the pregnancy pictures that the hospital reports. What they discovered, or rather failed to discover, is what's causing this fire. No doctor's records, no hospital records, and the most damning of, according to all accounts of private documents that royal advisors were able to get, Meghan may not have even carried Archie in her arms. Insiders claim that the palace did not find any documentation attesting to her delivery. No hospital name, no royal medical staff signed paperwork, and not even a hint of the usual maternity protocol, which is extremely uncommon for a family that records every detail, including the final flower arrangement. What is currently being understood to be more than forgetting is the lack of this evidence. The public no longer holds back, and it is perceived as a potential cover-up. Videos from the past that show Meghan's baby bump looking notably altered in a matter of days. Memes showing her crouching elegantly in heels and her tummy changing shape. Like a prop in a movie, people are publicly referring to it as strange, unusual, and, yes, fraudulent. Side-by-side comparisons, slow-motion videos, and commentary that is more forensic than humorous are all over social media. However, what's becoming the seriousness of what is being accused is obscured by the viral commotion. Because we're discussing more than simply deceit. If this wasn't a real pregnancy, the purposeful marketing of a royal birth into a public narrative is what we are discussing. A tale about diversity, triumph, and abandoning long-standing customs, all based on what could have been a fabricated incident, and it was successful. Meghan and Harry were praised all over the world and had sold-out speaking engagements and book agreements. Specials on Netflix, they turned into the royal rebels that everyone supported. But if that myth was purposefully made out of false information, the whole thing starts to fall apart. Harry, on the other hand, is equally deeply. He has been the most vocal supporter of their narrative, severing familial connections, criticizing the media and depicting a besieged couple. However, the harm to his reputation might be irreparable if he discovered the truth and accepted it. This is no longer only a scandal, rather, it is a test of personal loyalty, royal integrity, and whether the palace will ultimately bring the truth to light, regardless of the consequences. The repercussions. There is pressure coming from all sides. Once renowned for its quiet dignity, the palace has let the gloves drop. Former employees, royal insiders, and even pundits who once avoided Harry and Meghan are now publicly calling for clarification. The message is loud. The truth must be told if the kids are to have a role in the royal future. On file, no more conjecture, no more carefully chosen interviews, and most definitely no more selective narrative. According to reports, one top aide put it simply, years have passed since they corrected the record. What's at risk here is not only family relationships but also the integrity of the monarchy itself. If they don't do it now, the institution will. Positions, titles, and awards, none of it can exist in a state of uncertainty or, moreover, beneath a veil of dishonesty. This may be one of the most embarrassing times for an organization that has withstood divorces, wars, and abdications. However, because it's coping with an internal issue rather than external dangers, the catch is this: Harry and Meghan's silence is no longer effective. What was once considered respectable privacy is now viewed as purposeful avoidance. They disregard the DNA request every day. Public skepticism increases. Many people believe that refusing is no longer a personal decision. It is a response in and of itself, and if they comply, the outcomes, whatever they may be, will have far-reaching repercussions. Although the accusation of deceit won't be removed if DNA proves Harry is the biological father, it would ease some of the children's tension. It could restore some measure of credibility in the palace's eyes. However, this is more than simply a scandal. It's a crisis of royal identity if the tests indicate differently, or if there is even the slightest indication of conflict. A constitutional disaster that nobody is ready to fix. Prince William is reportedly upset behind the palace doors over the harm being done to the family's reputation and history. Rumor has it that Princess Anne ever, the no-nonsense princess, referred to the state of affairs as a shame, and according to King Charles, he is devastated. He never did it this way. Imagined the start of his tenure, he is torn between his duty to the kingdom and his affection for his son. But he also understands how brittle public trust is at the moment, and cannot afford to lose it over unconfirmed bloodlines and Netflix plots. The saddest thing is that things didn't have to be this way. Had Meghan opted for truthfulness, if the narrative had been about strength, decision, or even health issues, the people probably would have supported her. People are much more understanding than is often acknowledged. But the backlash has been unavoidable when a private journey is transformed into a polished fairy tale and then probably fabricated portions of it for public consumption. The royal institution is currently making a mark in the sand. The message is really clear. No place in the fold. No titles, no DNA. It's chilly and harsh. However, the monarchy views it as essential, as the world is closely watching, and the crown's destiny cannot be predicated on hazy facts and emotive public relations. Regardless of whether Meghan and Harry agree to the test will determine how they are viewed in the future as either the cortex of their own demise or the victims of royal injustice if they completely reject it or attempt to spin it again. One test, one swab, and a fact that can no longer be ignored could be the answer. Be concealed behind the gates of the palace.